For India, as the Modi government has announced new GST structure that will have big impact on your wallets. As announced by the Prime Minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort on Independence Day, the next generation GST reforms are here, and the one that they say will improve the ease of living in India. Now, the current 4-tier tax rate structure that has been rationalized into two-slab tax structure, a 5% slab and now a 18% slab. Now, the earlier additional GST slabs of 12 and 18 will now be abolished by the government, and it has also introduced a new 40% slab. This is a steep hike that we are looking at, which has been labeled as a sin tax. Let's in the meantime talk about, as far as when we get to these developments, as I said, what will cost more, what will now cost less. What are the brackets in which that we are looking at this two-tier structure on the goods that have now been put across? As far as these categories are concerned, we're going to spell out the details one by one. And this has been a major announcement that has been made by the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman herself. Now, when we speak of the GST Council, who all were present, when we speak of the state finance ministers and the union territories finance ministers who were present, and what is being said that a consensus was built to actually get this on board, as ease of living and ease of doing business seems to be the two mantra that has been envisioned by the Prime Minister and has now turned into practical, as it is set to be implemented from the 22nd of this month. So let's talk about, as far as when we speak of this tax structure, how it has been divided by the government, why it is also being called as an early Diwali Bonanza. Let's take a look as far as when it comes to this tax structure is also concerned. Two-slab tax structure, which is a 5% and an 18% slab. The earlier additional GST slab that amounted to 12 and 18% will now be removed by the government itself. So in the meantime, let's take a look at the key takeaways that was announced by the Union Finance Minister last evening. When we speak of the new GST regime to have two slabs, this is being said and called as the next generation GST or GST 2.0. Then we talk about, when we come to the earlier multi-tier system that included 12% and 28%, these are no longer going to be in effect. In fact, what will stay is the two-tier structure, which is the tax slab of 5% and also of 18%. Another key takeaway that we speak of is a 40% hike. This has now been announced by the Government of India, which is now being labeled as sin tax on luxury goods. Now 40% for sin and luxury goods. However, when it comes to the Bonanza, especially in multiple sectors that involve individual health and life insurance, it will now become GST free. When we speak of other sectors as well, even when it comes to the revenue that is going to be estimated and the losses, in fact, that are now being calculated, as that has been a concern that has been raised by multiple states. So when we speak of the estimated revenue loss, it could amount to nearly 48,000 crores. When we speak of the new GST tax structure, the new regime will now be implemented from the 22nd of September. This is an early Diwali Bonanza that the Government of India has announced for the citizens. Now, when we speak of the Union Finance Minister, who revealed that it was the Prime Minister who set the tone for upgrading the GST structure, which will now kick in from the 22nd of September.
The Honorable Prime Minister actually set the tone for the next generation reforms on the 15th of August when he spoke from the Red Fort. So, and he desired that we give the benefit to the people at the earliest. He mentioned Diwali, but I'll go through the decisions in detail a bit, but this reform is not just on rationalizing rates. It's also on structural reforms. It's also on ease of living.